fact. Yeah, perfect. We are making the live about your Instagram, because you are sent to me. You have sent to me. Way.
There you go.
Yeah. Well. Bueno, vamos a ver si esto va. Yep. We are in. That's
I think so. Right on, man. You tumbled to the floor there for a second.
Yeah. We are talking about your fact with like producer, more than Per Jam drummer, because you have played with names like Stevie Salas, Pete Cornell, Pseutopia. You are in a lot of projects in these last years.
Yeah, man, I've been really fortunate to over the years to make music and be a part of some really incredible people's music. You know, I've got to meet a lot of my heroes and make music with them, and then you know, I got to make a lot of new heroes with people that you know I didn't know that. About, hey, Dougie. That's my dog Steve. The mouser.
Yeah. What need David to produce one album or one band, or what need? What do you need to make the production of one album or one band? Or
well, I guess first and foremost, it's my own set of kind of rules. You need a point, you know. Like, what's the point? What are you trying to do? You know, and you know, before that, you need an idea. You know, someone comes to me with an idea or a vision of what they want to do, and we put our heads together. And you know, first, since it's not technically my job, you know, like I said, I'm a professional opinionist. I call myself. You know, it just comes down to, you know, whether I can affect someone's want the way that they want to, as well as you know, our personalities have to mesh, and the way I see things and the way they see things have to be able to make sense together, you know. And then the music, you know, it comes to just being able to, you know, producing a record's a pretty social process. You know, you have to be able to do it. You know, you have to be able to communicate without hurting people's feelings or crushing their egos. And I also have, you know, I also do have my own ego and my own, you know, when I have an opinion, you know, over the years, I've gotten better at managing my ego. My opinion is right. So, so I'm more. I look at myself as more of a co-producer than a producer. You know, the Hairy Apes BMX, a record that I produced with some really good friends of mine many years ago in Seattle. You know, it's like, you know, when I start working with people, you know, I admire musicians and I admire music and I admire the creative process. And so, you know, I fall in love with the music and I fall in love with the players and I fall in love with the process, and it's my passion, you know. And, you know, it was a fine line and a nice learning curve to discover that passion and my ego can work together, you know, without me being an asshole. So.
Maybe with Peter Cornell, is that what the result?
Oh man,
in this champion in this LP.
Peter's record was really a trip. You know, we met many years ago in Seattle. I had my studio there, and I kind of went off the rails and built a really world-class place. And he had contacted me about just kind of punching up the sound of a demo that his band Grace had made. And once I got it in the studio and started messing with the sounds, I started doing more of a sonic production and got into it more and more. And then when they heard the record, they heard the demo, it actually ended up turning into a record that they put out. And we had kept in touch off and on. And then, you know, life took us in different directions, as it often does. And one day, you know, I just reached out to him and said hello on Facebook, I believe it was. And, you know, he shot back and said, hey, I've got these song ideas that I've been messing with, and I was wondering if you'd put some real drums on it. And so he sent me these songs, and I mean, I love Peter as a person, you know. I mean, actually, you know, every Cornell that I've ever met, I have deep admiration and respect for. Peter is just a gem of a guy, and his music, at the time when I got it, it just spoke to me. The message that he was putting in his songs resonated with me more than any music that I'd ever been a part of. And I started working on it, and it came really natural. I mean, most of the record, literally, we would start the song, and I would hear the first 20 or 30 seconds, and then we would roll tape, and I would just start. And there's songs on the record that I didn't play more than twice. You know, it's just like I played what I felt, and you know, when something would come up and I would feel like it needed to go somewhere, I would go, and lo and behold, it would be there with me. And so the songs came really natural, and it was that way through through all the songs on the record. And when I got the record, it was very accessible eclecticism. But when I heard it and started playing to it, it all of a sudden started to rock, you know, and it got heavier. And when I sent Peter the first couple of tracks that we had done at my friend Jay and Rick St. Clair's studio in Rowlett, Texas, his reaction was wow. And he sent it to his management, and their reaction was wow. And so he encouraged me to keep going, and I did. And then when he sent the record, when it was mixed and he sent it back, it blew my mind. It's to this day still, you know, with the exception of the Green Room and its orchestra music, it was one of those moments where everything just fit, you know. What he was saying, like when I was listening to his words while I was tracking the music, I was having emotional reactions to the music I was playing. It was an experience that I wouldn't trade for anything, and that I hope that every musician gets a chance to have while they're making music, because I really felt like he was speaking for me, and I was speaking with my drums with him, and it was just like this really cathartic coming together. And you know, strangely enough, I mean, Peter and I haven't seen each other since, oh goodness, 1999, 2000, something like that. I mean, it's been that long, and the record was done. You know, I mean, it was all remote. You know, we were sending emails and messages and this and that, and it just worked. It was the right record for the right time, and I still to this day I couldn't be prouder of it. And to do it with him as well, it was great. And then all the strife that then came along with, you know, it was on my birthday that Chris, that I received news that Chris had left us. You know, and Peter and I spoke a lot through that process of him actually, you know, flying up to I hate to use the word, but to retrieve his brother and bring him back home. And you know, it was really tough. It was really tough, but it was beautiful at the same time. I mean, it was an amazing time. And that record will always stand for this little period of the most incredible emotional dynamic musically, but also, you know, an incredible kind of a sadness, but a celebration at the same time, you know, getting to be there for someone I care so much about, you know, for a reason such as that. I mean, it was intense. It was intense, and it was a real family feeling, and it still extends, that music extends past that, and that album represents a real special time, you know, and actually helped me get through a lot of my stuff as well. So yeah, great record. Really, really great record.
Think
And
it have a special energy and no age. It's an album with no age. It's an album, the 70s album, 90s album, or I think that. And this is special when the music have no age, and it's made in a moment, but you can listen and feel wherever you listen.
There's a relevance to it, you know, and I still get messages from people that I don't know that reach out and thank, you know, want me to pass a message on to Peter and thank him for the music, and that, to me, I mean, that's always been the biggest compliment to me as a player, is someone thanking me for the music, you know, because again, you know, my goal is to try to get out of the way and allow the abilities that I have as a player to lend themselves to the music, but yet let the music, you know, take me somewhere I've never been. And so, you know, it seems like I get really lucky that the projects I'm involved with become bigger than I am as a player, as a person. And they tend to give me something that I didn't have before the project, you know. They give me, you know, whether it's a little more strength of character or a little lesson about myself, or even sometimes through the process, you know, I have to grow up a little bit to let go of ideas or to understand, you know, especially other people's ideas and passions. And, you know, there's such a multi-tiered level of participation on so many levels when you're dealing with honest music, you know. And I've been blessed to have, you know, through Pearl Jam, you know, the success of the band, it left me with the ability to not have to chase the money when it comes to music. You know, I've been able to participate in things that didn't have any money. You know, I don't participate when people send me music. We don't talk about money. You know, we don't. I don't. That's not something that's important. And luckily, I mean, that's, you know, the opportunities that Pearl Jam has allowed me. I'll always be grateful for it, because it's allowed me to follow my passions and use my heart rather than my wallet to play music. You know, that's the best. It's just the best.
Yesterday, you talk about play music with friends is the best thing. It's important play music, but the best is play with friends.
Oh yeah, you know, and there's very few musicians out there that have come to me that we didn't become better friends through the process. You know, it's true. It's just, you know, really we become family to me. I think it's I attribute it to the role that music plays and has always played in my life. When I was young, it was, you know, the music was the soundtrack of my life, and there were a lot of times where, you know, the lyrics of songs or the energy or whatever would kind of, you know, if I had a problem, I would crank the music up and drive down the road, and somewhere in the music I would hear an answer to a question that I might not have even asked, but I needed to, you know. And either that or I would receive, you know, out of the blue, I'd be listening to the radio and there'd be some guidance that came from someone's twisted wisdom of their lyric, or you know, I'd read an interview, and so music has always you know, carried me through on to the next thing. And you know, I've been incredibly fortunate enough to be able to play a role in doing the same thing for other people. So yay. It's like I've gotten so much from music, and continue to play. I think that's why I feel no, you know, I mean, music to play drums the way I do, it's painful, you know, truthfully. It's, you know, I damaged myself so much by you know, not knowing really the root fundamentals of how to do what I do. I just did it, you know, and I learned the hard way that, you know, if I hold the stick's thumb up and I beat the shit out of my ride cymbal, eventually my tendon's going to pop, you know, and I didn't know that, but I learned it the hard way. So music is always teaching me, you know, more and more about myself and everything else. So
yeah, one thing when I try to make this in this talk is the energy. The energy is in all your drums. In when you are playing drums, that energy, that special energy, is there.
yeah.
In all the albums, in all your projects, in all your bands, is that you say, no, energy it's important to you.
Yeah, well, you know, it's funny because when I sit down, I never sit down thinking, you know, I don't close my eyes and think energy, you know, power.
Yeah.
I don't sit down and there's so many times where I'll be playing. There's so many things on YouTube where it's like, okay, you know, there's specific shows where I remember, you know, I was sick, or like the Unplugged show. I had 101 fever. I hadn't slept in 36 hours. You know, we just gotten back from Europe. My wrists were all torn up. You know, we had talked about canceling. Well, like Mariah Carey did her Unplugged performance a couple hours before us on the same stage set. And so we didn't start till 1 a.m. And as a band, we had talked about canceling because we were all just blown out. You know, we had been working our asses off. We just got in from Europe. You know, the filming started at 1 a.m. and none of us had really slept that well. And I had a really bad cold. But, you know, it was one of those things where it's like, I remember our manager going, you know, basically, please don't do this to me. Everyone's here. Don't do it. So we went ahead with it. I mean, I remember, you know, I mean, during the Unplugged performance, I couldn't hear the guys at all. I couldn't hear one single thing that was going on. I just played the songs, you know, and you know, in that band time, you know, as good rock and roll bands go, the drummer drives the band, and whether the singers like to hear that or not, I don't know. But that's what rock and roll music is, and it gives it that tension, that feeling that at any moment something can happen, you know, that excitement of rock and roll. And that show, I mean, I remember thinking, oh, you know, I mean, I knew I played the parts well. I felt fluid, but like my head was floating 6 feet above my body because I had a sinus infection and all these things were going on. But I remember like watching it back and thinking, wow, you know, there's a power to it, energy to it. And it's always been that way. You know, I sit down and play and like in the studio, I'll sit down and play and before I know it, I'm hearing the sounds are kind of getting choked because I'm playing harder than the drums might, particularly, or the miking setup we got wants me to. It's just what music does to me. It's like I sit down, I start playing, and it just pulls out my all, you know. I can't help it. It's just the way music affects me, you know. Beat the shit out of my drums. I can't help it.
No, but with the cover of the version of Seasons with Pseutopia, it's so powerful. It's a soul broken, and the energy of a big soul.
Yeah, it's funny. When those guys approached me, you know, they said they wanted to do a tribute to Chris, and my first reaction, you know, to all that sort of stuff was, how can you, you know, how do you make a tribute to someone you care about? How do you make you know, what is a tribute in a way, you know, and up to that point, you know, my tribute to Chris was it was inward. And I said, you know, I wasn't reluctant, but there was just something in the way they approached me, the honesty in the wording of the message that they sent. And then they showed me the direction they were taking the song, and I was blown away, just blown away instantly. It's like I heard what they were doing, and instantly what I played on the track, I felt and heard as I was listening to the demo, the idea of it. And again, it was one of those moments where I knew that you know, what they were doing and what I heard in reaction to it was going to be, it was going to lend itself to the thing, and, you know, to the song and the music. And so I just did it, you know, and I was so happy with the results and so proud of it. And it's still an emotional thing to watch it. And when I listened to it, I couldn't be more proud of the fact that I was a part of it. And I really appreciate and will always appreciate the guys at Pseutopia for approaching me with the idea. And we've actually since then, we've been working on new music. One song is going to be coming out definitely before the election. We worked really hard to make sure. And it's a really, I mean, these guys in that group, I love them. As people, they're incredible. And, you know, it's amazing. I still crack up, and I don't think they would mind me saying so, but, you know, when we're working on the music, I don't hear their Indian accents. I don't hear when we get on a call and they start talking to me, and I'm it's like that, just the classic, you know, I've always been tickled by folks from India and the speech pattern, you know. I've always been fascinated by pitches and rhythms, and I hear the music in people's speech and the tempo, and I don't know why, but I always have. But the Indian, when folks from India speak English, and the do 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 do, it tickles me to no end. And it's you know, I enjoy the exchanges we have as people, but the music, it's transcending our relationships. It's much bigger than I am as a person, and to contribute to something so powerful, then it just reinvigorates my passion. And, you know, I can't say that it inspires me, because I'm already inspired. You know, the world's inspired me to the point where, you know, I'm an inspired person, but it drives me to want to keep finding these new things. You know, it drives me to stay open to new ideas, even to the ideas of speaking to someone I don't know, you know, and sharing it with people. Because it's not, you know, to me, I mean, I chose to play drums because at the time when I was such a young child, it was it was the way I identified with expressing myself, you know, in such a way that it erased all the worries and the questions that I had about the world as a young kid. And it still does, you know. So I appreciate the opportunities, and I appreciate being a part of these projects that keep me fired up and keep me inspired about the world and tomorrow, and doing things that are out of my zone in a way. You know, I'm not, I've never been one, you know, really fired up about interviews or speaking into microphones or talking to groups of people or any of that stuff. I mean, I express myself, as Alex Van Halen once stated, when I was a kid. I read that he wrote, you know, kind of like, you know, what do you want from me? I express myself by beating the shit out of things with wooden sticks. You know, it's like, you know, that's it's quite a telling thing. It's not words, it's action. And but yeah, the new song, you know, we're gonna make a record, a full record, and you know, in the process and the way we're doing it and how serious these guys take the music, they're incredibly passionate players and people, and the fact that we're all the three of them and me, we're all in different countries, and we're working on this music remotely. So we get to communicate what we're trying to do, and then we get to allow ourselves to do it, and then it comes together, and we go, wow, and then we hone our craft, and we, it's not. But there's a new Zootopia song that's going to come out. It'll be out any day now. The video is being worked on now, and I'm really proud of it. It's kind of painful to watch, actually. It's a song that's really honest about the times that we live in and the way they're affecting us, and just how brutally ugly they can be, you know. But again, creating music in these times and reflecting the times, not trying to sugarcoat them or any of that stuff. I think it's created a way for all of us to have an outlet to handle them. You know, it's like you can't always laugh at a shit show. You know, and you know, my family's affected by this, as well as the families of all my friends, and it's not funny. It's not fun. And you know, watching the news, and of course the state of the government in America, and it's just not funny, and it's not fun.
Yeah, you are one of the things that you define to yourself is like an opinionist, and I think you are not an activist, but I think a person with a critical with the government or states or.
Well, I wish I had the balls to be an activist. I don't think I have the energy. I mean, I look at the young people now, and I'm really proud at the torch they're carrying. You know, there's, you know, I mean, if I was, I think back, you know, if I was in my 20s and this was going on, I'd be losing my mind. I would be so active and so proactive, and you know, now where I'm at, it's like I don't have the youth to do that. I don't have, you know, I don't have the time to invest. And shamefully enough, I mean, I feel like ashamed of that fact, but at the same time, I deal with that by putting, you know, all my efforts into being honest musically, and yeah, not allowing music to be a sanctuary, but more using it to, you know, open up and to be more vulnerable. And the Zootopia project is allowing for that. It's allowing us as individuals to put ourselves out there and to say the things that we feel are important to be said, and to point out things that we feel are important for people to see. And you know, it's tough because it's not at this particular time. I mean, with all the pain in the world and all the strife, and you know, I mean, it's not just about the virus. I mean, there were so many things going on before the virus that are still happening, and there's so much suffering still happening, and it's gotten so much worse. But even the more shameful part is that it's lost the headlines. You know, it's lost. You know, there's Donald Trump and this and that and politics and the virus and all this bullshit has taken over. I mean, it's important, but there were so many other important things going on that needed, so many wrongs that needed righted before that have taken a back seat, and will continue to until this pandemic is kind of, you know, until it plays out.
You talk many times about the simple values, the little things, the importance of the persons, of the people.
Yeah. It's important, man. I mean, when I go outside and, you know, there's something that's strange. It's like, I noticed just the other day, you know, there was something I couldn't put my finger on it, something that I was missing so much outside of my house. And then it hit me when I was having a conversation with a friend of mine via video chat. It's the smiles. I miss the smiles.
Yeah.
I miss just being able to see if someone's hurting, or if someone's troubled, or if someone's needy, or if someone's happy. I miss that because, you know, during the daytime, you know, people are wearing shades or this, that, you only have their eyes anymore. You know, you can't see from across the room whether someone is distraught because of the look on their face, because you can only see half their face.
Yeah.
And it was it was strange. So it made me feel, and I started noticing that the way I dealt with it was by speaking more to people, you know, and you know, strangers. When I open the door for someone going into a store, asking them how they are, you know, saying hello, you know, saying something funny, pointing out something, you know, absurd that's going on in the parking lot, whatever it is, just to have some sort of exchange, you know, and I realized how, you know, I didn't even notice, but those exchanges have always been so incredibly vital to me. And I think they served me well in the, you know, the kind of the fame part of my existence, where, you know, taking the time to say hello, taking the time to, you know, not put my hand out and say no autographs, please, whatever it is, just taking the time to stay in touch with, you know, what life's all about, the exchanges, you know, between people, even if they're momentary or whatever, trying to make them be, I guess, you know, it's like my philosophy on life is, what's the point? And, you know, to see people, and I don't know, it's important to me, the one of the points of existence to me, we're all in this together, you know, and to stay connected, to stay expressive, to stay caring, to stay open to the fact that it's not just my world that's kind of fucked up right now. We're all in it together, you know, and we need each other, you know, and it makes the assholes that troll and badger and bitch and complain stand out more to me, but it also makes me feel more, more like it's something I need to put an effort into. When someone, you know, if I post something on Facebook and someone responds to it with negativity out of the blue and just starts jabbering about, you know, I do understand that it's not, you know, it's their way of expressing what they're going through. And if that's the tool that they have is anger and hatred and negativity, then they need more than any someone to take the time to say, hey, you know. It's okay. You know, take it easy there, big fella. And I've actually made people that, you know, I've made some people that I consider, you know, true friends. And they started off with them saying some bullshit to me that I was like, hey, hey, you know, what is this? Like the other day, somebody called me a chump, and it wasn't even, they weren't even talking to me. There was something, and they said, yeah, Dave Abbruzzese was a real chump. I'm glad they got rid of it. And it was like this, you know, 25 years ago or whatever. It doesn't hit me like it, but you know, what I wrote to him was like, wow, you know, say that to my face. You know what I mean? And he understood where I was going with that, you know, and we had an exchange and everything, you know, it's like, it was worth the effort to reach out and say, hey, knock it off. But
the social media.
Because I know that the person didn't mean that. They weren't trying to pick a fight or put me down or whatever. They were just trying to have an exchange with the other people. You know, they were just trying to, just like when we were kids, you know, we no matter what our household environment was, no matter what our social environment was, we found what we needed to grow up, you know. It could be the worst setting, but you're going to find love in it, because as a child you need love. And I think, you know, this strange fucked up time that we're in, is really allowing a lot of adults to still heal wounds that they had when they were little, to still evolve emotionally and socially. And, you know, it's fun. It's fun to put it out there. It doesn't, you know, a lot of people ask me if it's draining to actually, you know, interact with people the way I do. And no, it's actually invigorating. It's, you know, it charges my energy. It doesn't suck from it, you know. I think if I were to be engaging negatively and you know, kind of getting into fights with people, but it's not about that. It's about understanding and compassion and empathy. And a little goes a long way, you know, because someone may look like the biggest asshole in the world in their text, you know, these words that they post that as a stranger, we all interpret differently. You know, I think a lot of people forget that when you read someone's post, you read it the way you need to read it. And if you want them to be an asshole, you'll read it like they're an asshole. If you want them to be, you know, confused, whatever it is. But the fact is, it's not real. You know, it's not real. It's not an exchange of two people. It's an exchange of words and ideals that are in your own head. And, you know, so reaching out and trying to break those barriers, the social media barrier, by speaking to someone, by calling someone up out of the blue and saying, hey, you know, it's like you, I had no clue, you know, who you are, where you come from, like where your voice, be an asshole or be a nice guy, none of those things. I know that exchanges that we've had, you came across as someone, you know, who was passionate and kind and you know, and that was enough for me to want to get to know you and to want to contribute to this process and this thing that you're doing. And you know, it's like, it's just, I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is just a little effort goes a long way, and I hope people don't forget that, you know. And it's the same like my music, the way I approach music and the way I approach this and life and my drums and the guitar and my dog and my family, it's all the same. It's all the same. There's no difference. And I think in some ways that's made parts of my life more challenging. It's made but those challenges and trials and rewards, it's all richer. It's all so much richer from embracing the dynamics of being, you know, a human being and just trying to be honest, you know, trying to be honest all the time about what I know, what I don't know, what I wish I knew, what I'm glad I don't know, what I don't care about, all these things, you know, and the more I communicate with people and the more I answer questions that I don't ask myself, the more I learn about myself, you know. So it's cool. It's the best of the worst. I noticed you have the Vitality. Is that the Vitality vinyl back there?
Yeah.
Man, that record, it's so strange. I see a lot of times, you know, these things on YouTube, you know, the album that almost broke up the band and all this bullshit. Yeah. It's like, man, what a crock of shit. You know, it's like that album to me, I mean, I worked so hard on the music, the Pearl Jam music. You know, I never took it lightly, and a lot of it came naturally. But the setting that natural was in was very challenging, and you know, I see that record still to this day. I see it, and I'm so proud of what I'm more proud of what I did as a player in contributing to those songs in that record at this point than I am of the record itself, because, you know, I'd been fired from the band before the record was finalized, and the record that I expected to hear when I got my copy of the album, I was very disappointed. You know, the record I expected to hear was a much better record than what it ended up being. But, that was just because, you know, I think at the time
that energy have the verses, maybe.
Huh?
what you expect that is versus album.
Yeah.
You are more proudless, more proudness with that album than the Vitalogy.
Well, yeah, Versus to me was a record from start to finish. I mean, we went into the studio with ideas and we left with a collection of songs that made an album, a true, album. Vitalogy, we had a lot of songs and ideas, and we were recording them in different studios while we were on the road and while we were on tour, on days off and stuff. And it was more, to me, it was more documenting times and spaces. It was more of a collection of experiences rather than an album of music, But yeah, I mean, I'm still really proud of both records. The Versus record to me is a lot more playful of an album. The Vitalogy record, I mean, for me personally, it was more cerebral. I was putting more thought into my craft than, the Versus record. I was just going for it. The songs lent themselves to me just playing music that, but the Vitalogy record, there was a whole lot more of a cerebral, even while we were tracking, I knew what I was doing and why I was doing it every step of the way. Even on songs like Tremor Christ, which I think the drum track, we might have played the song twice. Stone had this riff, and I started playing, and we started, and then we stopped, and then, Stone started playing again, and I played, and we were done, and that was the track. Really honest and really straightforward, but where my head was at while we were tracking it, I was firing on all cylinders, and I knew why I was doing what I was doing and how it was going to shape the movement of the song and all this stuff. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that band was, the only regret that I have, if I even call it a regret, was I still really wish, like right now, 25 years more of that particular group of people developing as players. I can only imagine how powerful the music would be now. It's an amazing. It's an amazing thought. I've always been a little discouraged by the fact that Pearl Jam's been a band for 30 years, and they really haven't, in my opinion, they still haven't. There was so much more potential. There was so much more that band should have done.
I remind when the Hall of Fame and that days, that weeks, and your opinion. And
that I mean, it was something that for years, I would have dreams.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah, for the first few years, my dreams, I had dreams where I'd wake up, and it was like I was dreaming of. I mean, I had these dreams for so long that like in the dream, the band called me back to go out on a tour, and then it was like I was in and out of the band in these dreams, and it affected me profoundly. I mean, I'd never been fired from anything or had anything like, so I mean, it was a pretty big thing to get that ripped away, and to me, I mean, Pearl Jam as a band was the shit. It was like it came natural, it felt right, and it always was bigger than all of us. And that doesn't come along every day. People have asked me so many times, like, why haven't you joined another huge band, or why this, that? I mean, and I was doing the Guns N' Roses things for a while, but it still wasn't the same. They're a huge band, but it didn't have that chemistry. It didn't have that sense of, wow, I'm a cog in a wheel that's racing down a road, and I don't know where it's going, but I feel safe and it feels right. And Guns N' Roses was more of a struggle, and I never really felt like, I didn't feel that there was the potential for the music to be bigger than we were as musicians. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And when I decided to let Axel know that I wasn't into it, you know, I think the way I said it is that I wanted to be a musician first and a rock star second. You know, and
Yeah.
that didn't go over too well, but but it's how I felt, you know. And at the time, I was still dealing with, you know, I'd gotten into some, you know, substance abuse and this and that. The emotional reaction to getting fired from the band, you know, it was profoundly challenging. And you know, it didn't take me to dark places, but it definitely encouraged me to go off and do some strange things. Which, you know, I mean, out of those strange things came some of the most beautiful, you know, tangible aspects of my life. Having an incredible daughter, and you know, having been able to have a good, rich adult relationship with my parents, which was, you know, above and beyond the most incredible thing ever. You know, to have the time to embrace the important things, you know, that I didn't even know were important until you know, music had always played this role where it was the important thing, you know, the band,
Mm-hmm.
the important thing, no matter what band it was. And then to have the one situation that felt so vital and so undeniably powerful, to have it plucked away for reasons that I never really got, you know, yeah, it spun me out for many years. It did. And, you know, but I did learn a lot about, you know, it did also give me opportunities to work with incredible people that, even though I didn't realize it at the time, were teaching me lessons that, I mean, I use every day in life now. You know, Roger Hodgson, the lead vocalist and one of the principal songwriters for the band Supertramp, we met at a Berkeley show in Berkeley on Halloween outside of San Francisco, and we became, you know, friends, and then we began working on music together, and it was one of the richest musical experiences I'd ever had or will ever have, because he's such an incredible talent. Plus, also, I mean, you know, he was singing The First Time I Kissed a Girl. You know, his music was playing. You know, and just to come full circle and to be sitting in it, you know, at Roger's house with a guitar in my hand and him singing words on it, and to be sitting in, you know, behind my drum set and him and his piano playing that same song, That First Time I Kissed a Girl. He's sitting there playing it, and I remember I had my headphones on, and he started playing it, and it sounded, you know, I mean, the guy hadn't missed the steps. Still unbelievable. One of the most incredible songwriters and people that I've ever had the great fortune to meet, and to you know, become. When you make music with people, it's a family thing. You know, when it comes from that place that's not taught, that it's inside of you, your brothers. You know, you instantly become something more than just friends or acquaintances, and to have that relationship with him, and to be sitting there when he started playing this song, and I was just, I mean, the hairs were standing up, and I'm listening in these headphones with my eyes closed, and it was dark, and it was late at night, and I just was sitting there listening to the most incredible, you know, listening to a song that I'd always thought was one of the most beautiful songs I'd ever heard. And then I realized, oh shit, the drum part's coming up. Uh-oh. You know,
it's my time.
I'm supposed to do something. But it's just things like that where, you know, like the same with Stevie Salas and Bernard Fowler and Jar Harris and T.M. Stevens. Great T.M. Stevens. You know, these guys, you know, and getting to play with Daryl Jones, the bassist for the Stones, and you know, these guys, they're just monsters, and they're so incredibly talented. And to get to go out on the road and to play, and I mean, to me, it's like, the best times of playing music are like, there was a moment, like when Neil Young joined us at the MTV Awards, and at the end of the song, Neil's old school. He knows how rock and roll is to be played. He turns around, he looks at me, and he says, "This is where I'm going," and he expects the rest of the band to be there because I know where we're going,
No.
And there are moments at the end where he turns and he looks at me, and with a look, I know he wants to keep going. With a look, I know he wants to pull back and go somewhere else. And to have that communication just at a glance while I'm beating the shit out of the drum set, while he's playing the fuck out of his guitar, that split second where he looks back at me and I'm like, okay, I know what he wants. Those moments, they're incredible. And yeah, I don't even know why I started talking about all this stuff.
This is the cabin.
It's just profoundly
the magic of the cabin.
I lose my train of thought. There's so many good memories and so many people that I miss and that I haven't seen in so long. But my love for them, my respect for them, it just grows with every day. It always has. It's like, I guess the moral of my story is just fucking music. I love it. And it's important. It's important. It's really important to me. And it validates the beauty that I've been fortunate enough to experience in my life, because all of those moments come out with every smack, with every fucking, it's like whenever I'm feeling pain and the song's not over, I don't stop, even if I'm just playing the song because it's the 8th fucking take. Then I know I nailed it on take 3, but I'm just doing it just in case. I can't stop, I can't stop. And what fuels me to keep going is those moments of eye contact, and those moments of putting our heads together before we hit the stage, or those moments of sitting in a room and listening back to something that you just put into the speakers, and it comes back and you go, wow. There's so much more power there that I know how to create. And it's because it's bigger than me. It's just, I'm very blessed to have music and to have the experiences that my, I've had so many opportunities, and to have had the inspiration and the determination and dedication. I can't say discipline, because I wish I was a more disciplined player, but to have those things that I don't know, it's just, to me, music is still just the biggest celebration of my life. And it's the best way for me to show my appreciation for what other people have given me, with their lives as well. So.
I like to say one thing. First, I would like to thanks for you. 1 hour live. 1 hour. You are, yeah.
We've done an hour. Oh, all right.
I think David, you usually don't speak, never speak, and you know more of life than you know about music, because you're and the experiences you have lived made ¿cómo lo explico? Excuses about my English, so sorry. I think you, I think you know more of life than a lot of for music. I would like to to talk more, speak more
Yeah.
with think we need people like you, more than a musician or a drummer or a Pearl Jam legend, or more than that role or that image. We need the David. Do you understand me?
Yes, I do. And I'll tell you what, you've got it. You know, you anytime you want to talk, I'm more than welcome to. I appreciate what you're doing, and I appreciate you having the boldness and the courage to reach out to people that you know you want to talk to, and to take the steps that you're taking, you know, to accept this process. There's a record that will be completed. There's no doubt it must be, and it was. I was wanting to do a solo album from myself.
Yeah.
And I started working. I reached out to Shawn Smith, the singer for Brad, Stone Gossard's first solo project. With,
Special person. So.
And we started talking, and instantly I fell in love with Shawn Smith. He's a beautiful guy. I brought him over to where I live, and we spent a few weeks just talking, you know, and we would talk, and then I would grab a guitar, and we would, you know, things would come out of it that spoke. He was saying things that meant a lot to me, and we were on the same page, and the music was coming really fast and really rich, and but it was representing both of us. So we decided that I said, this can't be my record. It has to be our record.
Mm-hmm.
And tragically, you know, it was a week or two before he was supposed to come back over, he passed away in his sleep, and left me with a whole lot of music, a whole lot of incredible music that I couldn't listen to for a while because it was really tough to hear his voice, and you know, and I missed my friend very much, you know, and but I've gotten back into it, and you know, it's something that now it's like every bit of music I'm working on, ideas that I'm having, all these things, they all center around finishing this record, and so it was.